Are brain fog and anxiety keeping you from thinking clearly and living at your best? Are you missing out on key life events like spending time with friends, work functions, or enjoying time with your family? Before you go downing another handful of supplements or running and grabbing your third cup of coffee, let's talk about what you can do to get rid of brain fog and anxiety so that you can live with a calmness and clarity of mind and enjoy all those moments that make life so special. I'm Dr. Sam McDonald. I'm a brain health expert, and this channel is dedicated to helping you rewire your brain so that you can live a better life. Brain fog can be really foggy, and lack of mental clarity, inability to focus, decreased working memory are all characteristics of brain fog. And if you compound that with that sense of uneasiness, that constantly being on edge, and that constant sense of threat that make up anxiety, you have a recipe for disaster. I should know because I struggled with both of these issues for years until I finally took the steps that I'm about to share with you to get them under control. So the first thing I want to talk about is what you put into your body, meaning what are you eating that could be predisposing you to brain fog and anxiety. Food can have a profound effect on our brain. It can give us soaring energy and complete crystal clear clarity, or in some cases, it can actually leave us crashing down and being just lost in that fog and that blanket of anxiety just weighing us down. Now, some of the most common ones that really triggered me when it came to brain fog and anxiety were really sweet foods, a lot of the desserts that I was eating, and really carb-heavy foods like pasta would really trigger that sense of brain fog in me. That insulin spike that I would get after a big bowl of pasta would certainly feel good and for the first about 5 minutes, and then afterward I'm just left in that foggy forest of brain fog that just I couldn't do anything for the next several hours. So for you, you maybe want to evaluate what it is you're putting into your body when it comes to really heavy carb-heavy foods. Are you eating a lot of breads, a lot of pastas? Maybe rice could be something that's really triggering for you. Or are you eating a lot of sugary things? Could be sugary sodas, could be desserts, it just could be really anything. So a quick tip for that is make sure you're checking your food labels, looking for those hidden sugars. Quick pro tip, if it ends in an OSE, an OS, guess what? That means it's a sugar. Dextrose, those kind of things, that means it's a hidden sugar in that food that could be causing your brain fog. Now, the next trigger that was a really favorite of mine that I had to let go was coffee. That's right, coffee was really a double-edged sword because for one, it was triggering my brain fog with a hidden ingredient I didn't even know about, but two, it was also triggering my anxiety. So coffee was really bad for me, especially if it was poor quality, dirty coffee, because it had what's called mycotoxins. If you've never heard of this word, mycotoxins are the waste product of mold that grows on coffee that's not properly stored. For some of the bigger, more industrial coffee plants out there, what they're doing is just taking that dirty coffee, they're roasting it anyway, and you guessed it, it ends up right on the grocery shelves, into your cart, back at your home, and into your coffee maker. So mycotoxins can be a really, really big detriment to brain fog that can cause it because it gets into our bloodstream after we drink it, and then it really affects those higher functioning parts of our brain, thus causing the brain fog. Now, coffee is also a stimulant, so it's going to increase a hormone in our body called cortisol, which is going to give us that sense of wakefulness. But if you're already a person who is predisposed to anxiety like I was, it's also going to give you that sense of anxiety because now you're just at a really higher, just jittery, uncomfortable level. So if you're a person who does need a pick-me-up, then I recommend you going for something with a much slower release of caffeine, something like a green tea or another type of tea like that that's going to give you that pick-me-up without the jitters. So the next thing you want to consider when it comes to how to get rid of your brain fog and anxiety is your sleep quality. Let's talk about sleep. It's more than just laying there for 8 hours with your eyes closed. There's a lot that happens when it comes to the sleep process. Like I tell people in my office, sleep is a lot like landing an airplane, not turning off a light switch. You have to go through these different stages of sleep because our brains are really, really active in this period, even if our body is not. So we have to go through these different stages or cycles of sleep. One is called REM, or rapid eye movement, and the other is called deep delta sleep. Both of them are equally important. REM is where we catalog and organize our memories, And deep delta sleep is where our body does its healing and restoration. And if you're a person who struggles with brain fog, you could be missing out on one or maybe both of these, depending on how well your brain is functioning. You're not able to catalog those short-term memories into long-term memories, thus you're left with that just, I don't remember what I was doing feeling all the time, or maybe you're just that constant low energy state because you're not getting into that good, deep quality delta sleep. Now, the most common tricks or the most common practices that we tell people what they need to do is, one, they need to have a good sleep hygiene. So they need to make sure they're having a process to wind the brain down at the end of the day, to give the brain those cues to say, hey brain, you need to start to calm down because it's time to go to sleep. So doing the same thing every night is really, really important because it's going to cue your brain to calm down. The other thing you need to do is avoid electronics, tablets, cell phones, TVs, everything that's going to emit that light into your eyes that's going to cue your brain to say, hey, it's time to be awake. You want to avoid that stuff because it's time to go to sleep. So make sure you're avoiding those as well. Now, the final reason to look at to get rid of your brain fog is anxiety is really looking at how well is your brain functioning. So our brain could be functioning at a very slow functioning state. Your brain has the ability to speed up and slow down, much like a car can in the gears of a car, speeding a car up and slowing a car down. Our brain's speed is measured by what's called brain waves. And using a device called an EEG like we do in our office, we can look and see how well is your brain functioning. Do you have a slow functioning brain leading to and predisposing you to those brain foggy type feelings? Or maybe do you have a fast functioning brain leading to those feelings of anxiety? Or are you the lucky one who has both? Because you guessed it, if you have a brain that has too much slow functioning brain waves in the front part of your brain, that's going to lead to a predisposition to brain fog. The front part of your brain is really responsible for our thinking, our executive function, and if it's running at a slow pace, much like a car being stuck in first or second gear, that's going to lead to those foggy feelings, that inability to focus, that lack of clarity. And at the back of the brain, if you have too much of the fast brainwave states, then that's going to lead to those feelings of anxiety. Your brain's not going to be able to quiet itself down and calm itself down, and you're going to have that sense of anxiety. And if you have both coupled together, then that's going to lead to those feelings of brain fog and anxiety on top of that. So you want to make sure that you're checking in on how well your brain's functioning. Get a brain scan and see, do you have any of these dysfunctional brainwave patterns? And then most importantly, making sure that you're training those brainwave patterns back into balance. If your brain's too slow in the front, you need to speed it up. And if it's too fast in the back, you need to slow it down. What you eat, how you sleep, and how well your brain is functioning are all three keys you need to consider when you want to address and get rid of your brain fog and your anxiety. You should be healthy by choice, not by chance. And for that reason, I will see you on the next video.